Joe, good to see you doing. How you doing? Evening. Tor, good to see you. How you doing? Evening. How you been? How's everyone doing today? Hey, brother Miles, how you doing? Bert, I'm doing great. How you doing, brother? How you been? What up, Miles, and what up, CMF? Kerry, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Hey, Miles, good to see you. T, how you been? Scott, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Good evening, brother Miles. Funky brother, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Dennis, good to see you. How you doing? Hi, Miles and CMF. Let's go, Dennis. How you been? Hi, Miles and CMF family. Let's go, funky brother. Good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, tell me the one thing. Is Sui next Solano? Is Sui the next Solano? Sui's a good project. I wouldn't be able to confirm it to you as Sui's the next Solano, but Sui's a good project. Mike, good to see you. How you doing? Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Miles, the internet's only trustworthy crypto guru. How you doing? I'm the Rebel. Good to see you as well. How you been? Thank you for the kind words, brother. Hello, Miles. Hope you're well tonight. And hello to all the CMF. Adi, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Adi, I also replied to your message, the direct message you sent me, Adi, to look into a project for you, some AI project. It was AI Cloud. I had a look into, and I left you a message on the Telegram direct messages. Good evening, Miles and CMF. Back again for another great show. Let's go, Artistic. How you doing? How you been? Evening, Miles and CMF. Jason, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? So let's do a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about on tonight's episode 221, by the way, of the CMF Live, which is incredible. So, on tonight's episode of CMF Live, we're going to be talking about these topics. Now, recently I revealed a few nights back that the CPI data reports are coming out. So we're going to go through the CPI data report that was released today. We're also going to be talking about tonight's live regarding the SEC essentially seeking insights on Bitwise's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. It almost seems like the SEC is coming around and having a look at the filings that have been done with them. We're going to be talking about the Red Bulls and Sports Illustrated, because Avalanche has just now signed a 13-year contract, which is incredible. So we're going to talk about that on tonight's live as well. We're going to be talking about regarding a Middle Eastern energy company that's getting involved in Bitcoin mining, about $16 billion worth of essentially gas that's going to be used for Bitcoin mining. So I'll reveal more once we get to that news. We're going to be talking about Andrew Sorrell, the Alabama's Auditor General, talking about Bitcoin reserves and how Bitcoin reserves is a great idea, and how we're also going to be doing it essentially in Alabama. We're going to be doing it in Florida and so many states in America. We're also going to be talking about Citibank. One of their analysts have came out and spoke about Bitcoin and the US dollar and the market space. So we're going to go through Citibank's perspective on that matter. We're going to be talking also about Bitcoin leveraging, essentially regarding exchanges easing, which is actually a good idea. It's actually going to have a much more instantly just means we're going to have a much more stable market space, and I'll review more what I mean by that once we get to that news. We're also going to be talking about Travala, which is essentially a booking website for vacations. Now, they've decided to enter inside the Bitcoin space as well. They have over $100 million in revenue so far, and they've decided to go for two specific crypto projects to add to their reserves. They're following MicroStrategy's footsteps, which is basically another company that's following their footsteps, but they're not just going for Bitcoin, they're also going for Bitcoin and something else. We're also going to be talking about BitTrue on tonight's live as well. BitTrue Exchange had to halt their XDC, essentially, for anybody being able to purchase XDC, because they're running out of XDC. And it seems like it's not the only exchange that's going through this difficulty. Apparently, there is a high demand for XDC, but the issue is there's a low supply of tokens on exchanges. We're also going to be talking about BitGet on tonight's live. BitGet has came out and said, they're talking about the MiCA regulations, the EU going full frontal. By the end of the year, the regulations are going to be in the first quarter and so on. So we're going to talk about BitGet and other exchanges essentially preparing for the MICA regulations. Someone also on the Telegram group of this live asked me, what we're looking at in terms of the time frame for USDT. Is it still going to be available in the EU? Do we have to substitute USDT for something else? So we're going to talk about that on tonight's live as well. We're also going to be talking about CBDCs on tonight's live, mainly from India. India has decided essentially to completely turn their back on cash. Now, this is not surprising any sort of a way to me, because I've always said this whole ideology of, countries coming out and their governments coming out and saying cash will work alongside CBDCs. I always said it was absurd. They're lying to people. And it shows that I was right once again, because India has decided to completely turn their back on cash and just go full frontal on CBDCs, which is something that's going to be more common in a lot more other countries, especially G20 countries. And we're also going to be talking about the 4 key themes from Ripple's annual Swell conference. Ripple today came out with a new blog post on their website, and we're going to go through essentially 4 methods that Ripple sees happening and things to look forward to, essentially. So, mixture of news to go from tonight's live regarding Citibank reviews, CPI data reports, more analyst reviews, more predictions on the market space, all from established analysts, and bank news as well, CBDC news and Ripple news as usual, and AVAX news as well. Now, before we go through any of those news topics, I just want to say to everyone watching right now, welcome to the CMF Live. If you're watching this for the first time ever, the CMF stands for Crypto Miles Family. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Miles, and I'm going to be your host, as I am every single night, Monday to Friday. On this live, I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrencies, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding the world completely transforming into a digital space. Now, we also do Q&As on this live as well, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. And the disclaimer of this live, as always, is not financial advice, not political advice, and whatever I say is only for entertainment purposes. So, if you watch this for the first time ever, welcome to the CMF. If you're watching this as a regular, let's go CMF. Now, before we go for the first news, which is today's essentially CPI reports and essentially on the Fed talks, are we going to be getting any sort of interest rate cuts and so on, which is a positive for the crypto space. Before we go for any of that, let's go inside the comment section first, and then we go straight into the first news. So let's see where we were at. Jason, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? SPL just puts Litecoin. I'm guessing you're asking me, is Litecoin good or bad? It's good. Sure, why not? Free and Feather, good evening, Miles and CMF. Free and Feather, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Scott, hello to my CMF on YouTube. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Sui, good price or too big? Is Sui sitting at a good price or is it too big? Look, what I would say is Sui is a good project, no doubt about it. It's a good project. But it's not a project that I would say it's a must-have. I would say the financial projects are a must-have. Sui is a project you can have on the side. It's a good project. There's nothing wrong with it, to be fairly honest. Hi, brother. Come on, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hi, Miles and CMF. Stormy, good to see you as well. How you doing? Basically, in other sense, the money that you can use to buy Sui, it could go a lot more further in financial projects. Like if you put the same money that you're going to put in essentially Sui, you can put that money in XDC and stretch it further. Or you can put in HBAR and stretch it further. Or you can put in XRP and stretch it further, and so on. Or XLM. Thanks, Miles. Adi, no problem anytime. What news about AVAX? Yeah, we're going to talk about AVAX on tonight's live as well. AVAX to the moon. AVAX is a great project. I've always said this. AVAX is a very underrated project. I've always said that too. Greetings, Miles and CMF. Ray, good to see you, brother. How you doing? Morning, Miles and CMF. Shelly, good to see you. Morning, how you doing? Me running to the exchange to buy more XDC. Let's go, Stormy. Evening, Miles and family. Ian, good to see you. How you doing? How are you today, Miles and CMF? Lina, I'm doing great. Good to see you as well. How you doing? Lina, I got to reply back to your message as well after the live. I haven't forgotten. Hi, from Malaysia. Good to see you as well, Shakira. How you doing? What you think about Beam updates? Beam is a good project inside the gaming category. I talked about Beam essentially when it merged itself with another crypto project a long time ago. It's a great project in the gaming category. It could do very well for itself. But it's a very niche category, if you know what I mean, when it comes to the gaming category. It's going to become a massive, essentially, market space, to be fairly honest. $1 billion, almost $1 trillion market space, not overnight, over time. But it's a good project. Hi, Miles. Peter, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles. Callie, good to see you. How you doing? Good evening, Miles and CMF. Orphan, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? What are you saying about Viot? Viot is a good project as well. It's an AI category partnered with IBM. It has potential, is what I would say. Now, let's talk about the first news on tonight's live, which is regarding the CPI reports. Now, the reason why we're talking about the CPI reports is, one, because we have some more details on the CPI reports, and two, because a former Fed member has decided to come out with their predictions on the rate cuts. Now, rate cuts, as I said, always are a good thing for the market space, for the crypto space, because it shows that the traditional market space in that particular economy is not doing too well. Hence why they're going through rate cuts, which means you would hedge against it using crypto assets. Now, the Fed may need to reevaluate interest rate policies in light of recent inflation trends, according to a former Cleveland Fed president. Speaking about the essentially latest consumer price index CPI reports, Mr. noted that although the report met expectations, it essentially reevaluated a worrying pause in the progress of inflation, which could affect the Fed's future decisions. The unfortunate thing is that it shows that we have to pause in the progress that was made essentially on inflation. He also went on to say that it is a concern for the Fed because inflation has made very little progress over the last 4 months. The September Summary of Economic Forecast, SEP, had called for 1 rate cut by the year end and 4 more rate cuts essentially to be happening in 2025 and so on. Now, however, Mr. believes that the forecast may no longer be in line with the current economic environments, and he calls for a review of the policy path for the next year, citing continued economic momentums and inflationary pressures despite earlier signs of improvements. Mr. also confirmed the possibilities that inflation will run higher than previously anticipated. While the Fed's dual mandate includes maximizing employment, Mr. argued that the risk to employment has diminished, allowing the Fed to focus more on combating inflation. Mr. has also noted that the role of the base effects and projections for early 2025, predicting that the inflation could ease in the first quarter due to favorable year-on-year essentially comparisons. However, he warned that the inflation has been on bumpy paths and may require a more restrictive policy stance than the Fed had essentially anticipated in September. Reaching inflation targets will probably take a little bit longer and require more restrictive policies, said the former Fed member. He also went on to say, while the Fed initially projected 4 rate cuts in 2025, Mr. now expects that number to be reduced to 2 or 3, in line with essentially changing economic realities. Mr. also noted that the Fed could cut the rates in December, but that would be more important to pause in January to reassess the situation. The December meeting provides an opportunity to assess the progress made and set by tighter policy paths for 2026. He said, adding that the Fed Chairman Jerome Powell could use the upcoming press conference to clarify the future strategies. The model forecast is for inflation to continue to fall, but achieving that will be likely require tighter interest rates than initially expected, Mr. said. Now, he's not the only one, as a former Fed member, who's came out with his perspectives on the market space after the CPI reports came out today. There was multiple essentially perspectives on the matter. Former Fed members, former politicians, and so on. They all came out with different predictions in the market space. Some were similar, some were a bit vague. Now, what is clear is rate cuts is going to be happening either way, which is all that matters. Now, on the topic of are we going to be having 2 or 3 rate cuts, as was being suggested by this man, there are other people higher up ranking who are suggesting that 4 or 5 rate cuts will be better. Look, the more rate cuts we get, the better it is, the faster we can move to our targets. Obviously, if we have too many aggressive rate cuts, then it could also lead into a massive economic crisis, which is what we don't want. We want to stay away from a massive economic crisis, but we still need rate cuts. And let's not pretend that the market is doing fine and the economy is doing fine and nobody's in need of more money, or grocery prices are good, or job labor is good, or the market space is good. And in reality, it isn't. None of that is really good in reality. So what we need is less pretending and more, accurate information coming from the Fed, essentially, especially from Jerome Powell. And the only reason Jerome Powell even did some rate cuts was the pressure he was getting either from Congress, or his last rate cut was the pressure from Donald Trump saying he'll fire him if he comes to essentially January 20th. Obviously, Jerome Powell said nobody can fire him and so on, but we'll see how that plans out. But yeah, the main thing is we're still going to be having rate cuts. Maybe one this month is a possibility, is what they're suggesting. If we get a rate cut this month, it's a cherry on top for the crypto space because the market will react in a positive way. If we don't get a rate cut this month, we're expecting a lot more rate cuts happening in 2025, which is essentially a cherry on top for 2025, because 2025 is all about rules and regulations, banks and institutions, institutional money, America becoming the capital hub of the cryptocurrency space, the world joining and following the footsteps of America's corporate space, and so on. And then if we have rate cuts, multiple rate cuts on top of that, is genuinely cherry on top for the crypto space. Now, moving on essentially from the former Fed member's perspective on that matter, let's talk about the SEC, because it seems like Gary Gensler, even though he is resigning January 20th and he was a useless chairman, it seems like the SEC is playing nice with the crypto space in a way, because a lot of people have filed in for more ETFs. I mean, we have 4 ETF filings for XRP that haven't been looked into. We have a grayscale large cap fund ETF, which is a mixture of Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, AVAX, and XRP that has been looked into, but nothing further. And we have some Solana ETFs that's also been filed in, hasn't been looked into by the SEC either. It almost seems like Gary Gensler is just giving up, doesn't want to do his job, and just wants to leave January 20th. But now, some news has came out from the SEC. They're actually moving forward with one of the filings, which is this one. SEC seeks insights on Bitwise's Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. Now, the U.S. Exchange Commission, SEC, is moving forward with the New York essentially Okara's request to list Bitwise Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF, and now the agency is seeking industry feedback on the application. Just to point out, it took Gary Gensler this long to approve another Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF coming from Bitwise, but it took them this long to process another one. Even though all the Bitcoin ETFs, all of them, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, Grayscale's Bitcoin ETFs, they're all similar essentially on some sort of scale as a Bitcoin ETF or an Ethereum ETF, but it still took them this long to process another one. The Bitwise ETF is a fund that holds real Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it also aims to give investors balanced exposure to the 2 largest crypto assets in the world in an essay format according to Bitwise due to their filings. Meanwhile, the competition in crypto index ETF space is heating up. Analysts predict that index ETFs will be the next major focus for issuers after the success of funds holding Bitcoin and Ethereum launched earlier this year. According to Catalin, the head of investment research at crypto bank Saijong, the next essentially logical step is index ETFs, because indexes are efficient for investors. Just like how people buy the S&P 500 in an ETF, this will be the same in crypto. Now, the New York essentially Okara submitted another application to list a Bitwise 10 crypto index fund, which will essentially would hold a wider variety of crypto assets. It also submitted an application on October 20th to list Grayscale's proposed digital large cap fund. And other asset managers such as Hashdex and Franklin Templeton have also jumped into the race with their plans for a crypto index fund. A crypto index fund would be essentially, the next step for ETF space in general. But it's good to see the SEC, Gary Gensler, doing his job for once in his life, looking into a filing, which is what he's supposed to do, and maybe come up with some regulations. But let's not hope for miracles from Gary Gensler. But he is essentially looking into one. Bitwise's index ETF for essentially index for Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Bitwise also has another filing as well, which is 10 crypto assets in one. It's just like similar to the Grayscale large cap fund, but let's see how that one goes. But good news for once coming out the SEC, to be fairly honest. Now, before we go through the next news, which is regarding AVAX, which is a crypto project we haven't talked about in a while, because there isn't ever much news about AVAX, but AVAX is still a great project. And every time I do hear some sort of news about AVAX and I share it on this live, it's always incredible news about AVAX. It's always related to either some bank news or some financial institution news or so on. But this one is related to the entertainment space regarding AVAX. But before we talk about that, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer the questions you may have. So let's see where we're at on the comment section, and then we go straight into the AVAX news. What do you think about Boris Johnson, the head of DeFi, leaving Ripple? He's getting replaced by the better person, is what I would say. Good morning, most likely. Good morning, but he is happy, and he's still holding his XRP. Good morning, Miles, and our amazing CMF family. Ghost Runner, let's go. How you doing? G, good to see you as well. How you doing? Hi, Miles and family. Alex, good to see you as well. How you doing? Even Miles and CMF. Pierce, good to see you as well. How you doing? How you been? Hi, Miles. How are you? Hi, CMF. Peg, good to see you as well. How you doing, Peg? Don't know what that one is. Tuga, if you want, write it in English, because I can't translate it from the comment section. Apologies, but I can't translate that. If you want, can you write it in English? Canada cut interest rates to date. It is... I did hear that, yes. Subscribe to the channel and ding the information bell. Smash the like button. Join the Crypto Miles Smiles community. Let's go, Ricky. Thank you so much for the kind words, brother. Can you tell about AVAX news? That's exactly what we're going to talk about next. Why you say XDC running low? What does that mean? So Bitrue Exchange and a few other exchanges apparently are having, well, Bitrue is one of them. Bitrue apparently is having a shortage of XDC. Apparently there's a buying spree happening on XDC right now. And Bitrue Exchange is pretty much run out of selling XDC to people. There's not enough, essentially, sells coming in, but there's a lot of buys coming in. So too much demand for XDC is happening right now, which was inevitable to happen because it's the financial project category. And, you know, we've seen XRP move quite a bit. We've seen XLM move quite a bit. We've seen HBAR move quite a bit. XDC is now showing signs of movement, and it's showing great signs of movement where exchanges are running out of XDC. Now, we're going to talk about XDC as well a little bit later on tonight's live, but let's talk about AVAX now. AVAX, for the first time, is not in the news for a bank regarding JP Morgan or Citibank or so on. It's in the news for signing a 13-year contract with the Red Bulls and Sports Illustrated. The New York Red Bulls and Sports Illustrated tickets have teamed up with Avalanche in a 13-year groundbreaking partnership with a major focus towards blockchain innovation. Under the new partnership, they will rename the Red Bull Arena in Harrison, NJ, to Sports Illustrated Stadium. As 2026 essentially begins, Sports Illustrated tickets will become the official ticket partner for the event at the stadium, and including Red Bulls and Gotham's FC matches, concerts, youth events, and more. This is the first time Sports Illustrated has entered into a stadium, naming the rights to the deal on a 7-year history. And they're doing it with AVAX. AVAX is entering the entertainment field with a 13-year contract. As per the announcements, the main highlight of the partnership is the integration of Avalanche's blockchain technology into the event's ticketing and management software. Beginning in 2026, all events at Sports Illustrated Stadium will use Sports Illustrated's tickets box office network based on AVAX's blockchain. This comprehensive event management system, created in collaboration with Ava Labs, will make the stadium the first to fully implement blockchain-powered tickets. The Avalanche blockchain will enhance the ticketing process by offering secure, efficient, and interactive solutions. Tickets will become dynamic digital assets, unlocking exclusive perks, personalized content, and additional benefits, creating the next generation experience for fans. This initiative approach sets a new global standard for event management and fan essentially engagements. David Lane, CEO of Sports Illustrated Tickets, called this partnership a major milestone, aiming to set a global standard for fan engagements through innovative blockchain solutions through Avalanche. He added that through this essentially global partnership and soon to be an icon venue, we aim to showcase our vast portfolio of media, live event ticketing, hospitality, and fan experiences as we continue to partner with leagues, teams, and artists and venues around the world. This is great news for AVAX, honestly. The long-term partnership will enhance fan access with streamlined, essentially digital ticketings, exclusive events, and immersive essentially experiences, positioning Sports Illustrated Stadium as the top destination for sports and entertainment. Attendees will also receive a digital Sports Illustrated fan cover as a memorial piece. And also, the president of the New York Red Bulls said the partnership with Sports Illustrated Tickets will make Sports Illustrated Stadium a top destination for sports and entertainment, creating a great experience for fans. In addition, a VIP hospitality arena, essentially called the Club SI, will bring premium experiences, including live entertainment, food and drinks, and family essentially friendly packages, making a top-tier event for more accessible essentially users. This partnership will enhance the fan experience at Sports Illustrated Stadium and open doors for the future collaborations using blockchain technology, was the statement they gave. So honestly, it is great news for AVAX. It just shows, you know, how vast AVAX could be used in different categories. I mean, JP Morgan using AVAX on a subnet green for a banking system, Citibank using them for a subnet green, and they're not the only ones. There's a multitude of institutions using AVAX on a subnet green, and now you have AVAX essentially going into the sports category, the entertainment category, on a 13-year contract, which is incredible. It's not like, you know, most crypto project contracts when it comes to the entertainment space, like 1 or 2 years. This is 13-year contract, so it means they really do believe in AVAX's future. As I do as well. I believe in AVAX's future as well, to be fairly honest. Now, moving away essentially from AVAX's 13-year contract to an energy company. Now, one of the things when it comes to Bitcoin mining, for the people who are a part of Greenpeace and go around and say the world is heating up or the world is cooling down or whatever their protest is about. When it comes to Bitcoin, the Greenpeace group, the ones that hate oil but don't realize that everything around them is made from oil, is that when it comes to Bitcoin mining, it's polluting the planet. When it comes to Bitcoin mining, and they're always trying to look for green ways to save the planet and continue the Bitcoin mining space. So an energy company has came out on this matter. Energy from gas flaring, a $16 billion opportunity for Bitcoin. Now, this is a perspective from the executive of this company, $16 billion opportunity for Bitcoin. Natural gas is currently in high demand from Bitcoin mining companies and AI data center operators. According to Mohammed El-Messir, a managing partner at Holder Investments and CEO of tokenized energy trading platform Premier Chain, recapturing energy from gas flaring could be a $16 billion opportunity. The executive said that much of the current demand for gas could be filled by converting natural gas from flaring gas, essentially, which is a form of standard energy, into convertible energy for mining operations and high-performance computing for Bitcoin or AI data centers. About 147 essentially billion tons of natural gas is flared per year globally, which could be equivalent to $16 billion a year in potential sales revenues or cash flows from this gas being sold into the market space. Bitcoin mining has proven to be 12 times the gas valuation or equivalent price per essentially MCF or MMBTU or whatever metric each country uses, the executive explained. Converting standard energy into financial essentially asset highlights the power of crypto mining and real-world asset tokenization and promoting sustainability. Faced with the steadily increasing hash rates and computing difficulties, Bitcoin miners consistently search for novel and underused forms of energy to power their operations for lower cost and remain competitive. In May, mining company Mara is essentially the biggest Bitcoin mining operation there is pretty much in the world, formerly known as essentially Marathon Digital Holdings, announced a partnership with the government of Kenya to develop the country's renewable energy sector so they can use it for Bitcoin mining. According to the International Trade Administration, ITA, geothermal energy and hydroelectric power accounts for about 41% to 30% of African countries' renewable, respectively. A peer-reviewed scientific paper titled An Integral Landfill, Gas to Energy and Bitcoin Mining Essentially Frameworks was published as well, highlighting how Bitcoin mining can convert standard energy into economic value. The power argued that Bitcoin miners can use landfill gas to energy systems to convert methane gas essentially into electricity for their mining operations. This would essentially substitute the harmful gas from the atmosphere while providing a low-cost and attractive energy source for miners. Conversion of standard energy by miners also works in reverse as well. Mora announced that it will be heating an entire town in Finland using excess recycled heat from its Bitcoin mining facilities. Now, these are things that they don't talk about on the news. Like, for example, Senator Elizabeth Warren, she always comes out and goes, either crypto is for criminals, Bitcoin is ruining the planet is going to die in 2040 because of Bitcoin mining and so on. But there are actually things going around in the background to make Bitcoin mining or essentially any sort of mining or AI operations data centers more eco-friendly, which is great news, honestly, because these Greenpeace party situations, they're actually quite annoying. And why they're annoying is because every parliamentary group inside of every government has that Greenpeace group where they just get on everybody's nerves and they tell everybody, that the planet is heating up or cooling down. They start protesting for no apparent reason and causing destruction. Or they try to sabotage some policies that might be related to Bitcoin mining or AI data centers, which makes life a living hell for the rest of the crypto space, to be fairly honest. Because sometimes when some laws don't pass for the crypto space, it's because the Greenpeace party is going, well, this is going to ruin the planet. Well, now they're finding ways on how to use excess gas that was ruining the planet for Bitcoin mining IT operations. Amazing. Now, moving on, essentially from this Middle Eastern company that's going to be pumping the market with $16 billion of excess gas to, and also that money is going to go towards essentially Bitcoin mining and AI operations, to Andrew. Andrew essentially Sorrell, the Alabama's Auditor General, says yes to state strict Bitcoin reserves. As we previously discussed on this live, the since Donald Trump mentioned the idea of essentially a Bitcoin reserve for the United States, which is an incredible idea for the United States, to be fairly honest, because they have a massive inflation situation going on. But Andrew Sorrell, just like any other state member, is coming out inside the United States and saying a Bitcoin reserve idea is a great idea. So far, nobody has rejected a Bitcoin reserve idea except a few people. One, Senator Elizabeth Warren, but she calls everybody inside crypto a criminal. So, two, we have a former essentially Fed chair member that came out essentially yesterday and revealed it, who goes Bitcoin reserve is a stupid idea, and he went on Bloomberg and did a whole topic about it and so on. And about one more person that's against the whole idea. But so far, it seems like America is on board for a whole Bitcoin reserve type of strategy idea, which is great for Bitcoin, great for the crypto space, because it brings more eyes, and the rest of the world is pretty much going to follow their footsteps. So, the Alabama State Auditor General, Andrew Sorrell, called on Alabama to lead other states in establishing a strict Bitcoin reserve. He noted that the price of Bitcoin had gained over 50% since the US elections, and Trump's enthusiasm for crypto signaled a much more stronger federal support. Andrew also pointed out that Trump's meetings with top executives during his campaign made his promise to create a national strict Bitcoin reserve a more tangible reality by July 2025. US Senator Luminous already submitted the Bitcoin Act, which requires the federal government to stockpile on Bitcoin by selling some of their gold reserves. Sorrell also asked the state of Alabama to consider putting up a strict Bitcoin reserve, emphasizing that it could help address debt while strengthening the US dollar and protecting against inflation. His call comes essentially as other states consider strict crypto reserves to promote individual state Bitcoin holdings outside the federal government. Pennsylvania and Florida are currently debating models for Bitcoin reserves. He believes that the increase in the state's accumulation of Bitcoin would ultimately attract state businesses and investments in the entire blockchain space. Andrew also believed in diversifying a well-balanced crypto essentially portfolio that included different types of asset groups. This is where it gets a little bit interesting, because we've all heard the idea of a Bitcoin reserve streak asset. America talks about it. Brazil's been talking about it now. Russia's been talking about it. China's talking about it. Hong Kong, Japan, the Middle East, everybody's now talking about a Bitcoin reserve. But what Andrew is suggesting is, why only do a Bitcoin reserve? Why not just go beyond Bitcoin as well and have an entire crypto portfolio for each American state? Why only have Bitcoin? We can have Bitcoin, we can have Ethereum, we can have XRP, we can have Solana, whatever, and so on, which is what we want. Andrew believed that diversifying a well-balanced portfolio that included different types of asset groups. He noted that the states had zero exposure to crypto, a $3 trillion asset class. According to Andrew, crypto was the most rapidly growing asset class, averaging 55% annually for the last 15 years, and it has the greatest potential for price increase to continue. The debate over whether crypto will succeed has ended. The debate over crypto will succeed has ended, so there's no more doubt on crypto. Now the fight for which state will benefit from it has begun. Now the fight for which state is going to be taking action has begun. So the debate about, is crypto here to stay? Is crypto going to go? That's ended. That debate is old news. The new one is, which state is going to move first? The states that first adapt a tax and regulatory framework that are friendly to crypto will attract businesses and investments. This is what I've been saying for the longest time regarding America becoming a crypto hub means money. America becoming a crypto hub, rules and regulations, as Andrew's suggesting, rules and regulations means more investments, more businesses, more banks, more institutions, more institutional money into the crypto space. And then the rest of the world is going to follow the American footsteps. This is why I'm talking about it's going to be 4 years of just printing money in the crypto space if you're positioned well in legitimate assets. And on the topic of positioned well, Pantoro Capital today came out with a topic as well regarding, yes, we're going into 2025 and beyond, and the market's going to be amazing. We're going to have rules and regulations and institutional money inside the space, and the world's going to follow the American footsteps, is what Pantoro Capital said today. The CEO, the executives of Pantoro Capital said this today. But they did say also that you need to position yourselves well in the correct projects to benefit from the rules and regulations coming in America or the rest of the world, to benefit from the banks and institutional money coming in. That's the important factor. But amazing to see essentially Andrew saying the exact same thing as been saying. According to the state auditor, bonds and treasury investments had their place, but earning a yield of essentially 4% with inflation, with 2.7% inflation, barely broke even. He added that Alabama would benefit from diversifying investments away from the dollar-based assets. Andrew also noted that Bitcoin's value was not affected by what happened to the US dollar. He argued that Bitcoin holders could even benefit from the diminish of the dollar, and it will strengthen individual states' balance sheets and could be useful and also used for collateral for debt issuance in the future. Andrew also claimed that the details about states holding Bitcoin reserves were essentially still being worked on since it was relatively a new idea. He, however, did mention that the states could now buy into crypto as easily as purchasing stocks because the US SEC had authorized Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Andrew also suggested that Alabama's Bitcoin BTC reserves could be modeled after the federal ASBR, American Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, promised by Trump. The state auditor also continued to say that Alabama should use a dollar cost averaging approach over 2 years. He advised that buying essentially during a bull market was not the best timing, but monthly purchases over a period of 2 years were a better strategy than essentially averaged out in the state's entry price. Notably, Andrew also advocated for a gradual approach to crypto investments. Although he was all in on Bitcoin reserves idea, whether state or federal, he explained that ownership of a rapidly growing asset class came with increased risk of volatility. For this reason, Andrew asked crypto investors to ignore short-term market trends and focus on long-term returns instead. Andrew is telling everybody to focus on long-term investments when it comes to crypto assets, and he's saying that him talking about the debate over crypto is here to stay or not is finished. There's no more debate about it. In other words, crypto is here to stay, full stop. The debate that's going on right now between American states is who's going to take action first, who's going to bring the rules and regulations first, who's going to get involved in creating a crypto portfolio first. Is it going to be the state of Texas? Is it going to be essentially Ohio? Is it going to be LA? California? Is it going to be New York, and so on? That's what's going on right now in America, and it's all because of Trump. And he's saying, position yourselves essentially correctly, that more money is about to be entering the crypto space. States are debating who's going to be first on creating a crypto portfolio, not just Bitcoin, but going beyond Bitcoin. Incredible. This is what I'm saying. 2025 is just going to be ridiculous, the amount of money that's going to be made in 2025. Institutional money. I've been saying this for a while now. The next clientele entering the crypto space are institutions, which is where the big money's at. And the rest of the world is going to follow. America brings out rules and regulations and becomes a capital hub. Every single jurisdiction around the world will follow their footsteps, and they already are. America talked about Bitcoin reserves. Brazil is talking about Bitcoin reserves. El Salvador is talking about Bitcoin reserves. Russia is talking about Bitcoin reserves. China is talking about Bitcoin reserves behind the scenes. They had some court conversations. Hong Kong's talking about it. Japan's talking about it. Dubai is talking about it. The EU is talking about it. Everybody's talking about it. And now America's talking about going beyond Bitcoin, which means everybody, Brazil, Russia, China, Hong Kong, Japan, the EU, the Middle Eastern countries, Bahrain, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, essentially United Arab Emirates. Now everybody's going to slowly talk about going beyond Bitcoin and creating an entire crypto portfolio, which is what we needed. Now, because America's talking about it, everybody's going to talk about it now. What we're going to be talking about next is Citibank. But before we go through that news, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. Let's go inside the comment section first before we go through the Citi news. Don't be shy. If you have a question, put it down inside the comment section. I read everybody's comments one by one. I shout out your name, and then I read your question. I give you an answer. So let's see where we're at. Someone says, I'm 14 and I put all my birthday money in XRP. I was wondering if there was any ways to earn crypto. Any ways to earn crypto? There is. Crypto.com offers this course regarding earning token rewards. Crypto.com does that. Coinbase does that as well, depending on your jurisdictions. But I know Crypto.com offers this type of course where they reward your tokens and so on. So you can go and check that out if you want. Hello, Mars, but I'm not sure about your age. I think you have to have a discussion with an adult, with your parents, to be able to do that. Hello, Miles and CMF. Glenda, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? And Microsoft tried so hard to crash Bitcoin with all that Microsoft should be kicked out. Microsoft wasn't the one regarding the chip, but I know what you're talking about. Yomoto, it wasn't Microsoft, it was Google. Google was the one that created the Willow chip. The Willow chip is not able to crack Bitcoin's chain in any sort of a way and compromise its security yet. If the Willow chip continues, who knows, in 5 years' time, maybe. But in 5 years' time, essentially crypto chains will have much more high security. So as the chip continues to grow and get better, so does the other side as well. But also quantum computing, it has its positives and negatives, okay? There's always two sides to every story. Quantum computing actually has positives and negatives. The positives are it can actually help the security basis of a crypto project. It can help essentially bring more innovation inside the blockchain space, bring more innovation in AI is what quantum computing can do as a computer chip. But in the wrong hands, it could also be used to destroy certain chains and destroy certain AI data centers. So it all depends on the user, to be fairly honest. And I'm very confident that Google creating that Willow chip is not going to be using it for evil situations. They're not going to be going after essentially breaking down chains because they'll get sued by the CFTC and the SEC and pretty much any other government out there. So no one's going to do that, so don't worry. But it all depends on the user. So if it falls on the wrong hands, there's a possibility. But if it falls on the right hands, it's going to help blockchain and AI bring a lot more innovation in the space. But that's the Willow chip from Google, not Microsoft. But I also understand regarding Microsoft as well. When launched for Ripple's dollars, RLUSD, Brad said he's going to be the one that posts online when RLUSD is going to be available. So he said, please be careful about fake news. Definitely be careful about fake news. There's probably going to be a lot of fake news and fake links going about on X and whatever social media websites are out there, talking about the Ripple RLUSD, click on this link and so on. It's not true. None of it's true. Brad is going to be the one that says, it's available today or tomorrow or whatever. So check out Brad's X page and he will let you know straight away when RLUSD is. And that was his last tweet. And when he tweeted out RLUSD is approved by the New York Financial Department. And then he said, I'll keep everybody updated on when it's going to be activated. Today, Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana, good. Today on Bloomberg, the Secretary of Elizabeth said that the Biden administration did a great job bringing the inflation down, and I couldn't stop laughing, is what Orphan said. I'll be in the same state. I wouldn't be able to hold my laughter either if Elizabeth Warren came out and said the Biden administration did a great job in inflation. The reason why we even have increased inflation is because the Biden administration started a war with Ukraine and essentially Russia, which ended up causing a massive price hike on oil and gas and agriculture, which impacted everybody around the world except the Asian countries because they have no issues getting their gas and oil from Russia. But the Western nations suffered because the Biden administration decided to go head-to-head with Russia, which was a stupid idea, when Russia is supplying most of the gas and oil to the rest of the world and their agriculture. But yeah, they're always full of S, to be fairly honest. Elizabeth Warren is head to toe full of lies. Sleepy Joe is always half asleep. OnlyFans Kamala Harris is probably going to sign up to OnlyFans again because that's the only way she's going to make a quick buck. And the Biden administration have to start getting a new job very soon. Hi, Miles and family. I'm in late. How are you feeling on tomorrow opening bell with Trump ringing the bell? Good. Nothing bad about it. The boss is in the house. Golden Dragon, good to see you. How you doing? The boss is in the house. The boss is house. Let's go, JP. How you doing, brother? Will Digibyte ever succeed? Will Digibyte ever succeed? I don't know what the recent developments are, to be fairly honest with you. I don't know about new contracts they've been through in any sort of a way, new licensing they might have got. I could take a look into it and give you a better perspective on it. Direct message me. But I would say, keep focus on financial projects for the time being. We're going into rules and regulations, banks, institutions, American Crypto Hub, the world following their suit, massive crypto portfolios from all these institutions and states. Focus on financial projects. Google was the one. Yeah, Google was the one with the Willow chip. Yep. Let's go, Ray. Mass, did you get my memo? I would. We meant to talk about tonight. Mass? Who's Mass? Miles, did you not get my memo? I would meant to talk about tonight. I didn't get your memo, no, JP. Scott, let's go shared live. Miles, that was a spelling mistake. No problem, JP. What Ripple dollar will do for XRP's price? What will Ripple's dollar do for XRP's price? If it's pegged to XRP, it will have direct value to XRP. If it's not pegged, then it's going to have indirect value either way. So either way is good news for XRP, indirectly or directly. Share the live. Let's go. JP. When they use RLUSD on ETH's network, will they use XRP or ETH as gas? What's the benefits to have RLUSD on ETH? The benefits of having RLUSD on ETH is by bringing people in from ETH as a bridge to the XRP ledger. Connecting the XRP ledger essentially to ETH from EVM and then doing an RLUSD token between ETH and essentially XRP is essentially bringing liquidity over from Ethereum through the bridge to the XRP ledger. That's the benefit. See, Ethereum has a lot of liquidity, and having a bridge that connects the XRP ledger basically for an EVM to Ethereum empties the liquidity out of Ethereum into the XRP ledger as more people start swaying over. Evening, Miles and CMF. Manny, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Can we not talk about her, Elizabeth? I was joking. Hi, Miles. Will the Fed Reserve be useless in the future? Will crypto threaten them? Hi, Miles. Mickey, good to see you. How you doing? Will the Federal Reserve be useless in the future? Will crypto threaten them? Will the Federal Reserve be useless in the future? It's a possibility the Federal Reserve being a complete useless department in the future. It's likely, very likely. As we progress forward, it's not going to be, overnight the Federal Reserve breaks down and crumbles, but over the years, there's a possibility that the Federal Reserve goes away. Don't know how many years, but it's a possibility. And does essentially crypto threaten them? Well, if they find a way to adapt crypto into blockchain into the Federal Reserve, then they can stay around. If they don't find a way to adapt blockchain into the Federal Reserve, then it's going to be difficult for them to stay around over the years. Same goes with banks, for example. If there's a bank out there that rejected the idea of blockchain, they're going to suffer later on because they're going to be faded out by the banks that did adapt blockchain technology. It's the same scenario. But if they find a way to adapt into it, then they're going to stay around. Now, Citi. On the topic of banks, Citibank analyst has decided to speak out about Bitcoin replacing the US dollar. There's a claim on it. A recent report from Citibank's analyst, argues that stablecoins are not only strengthening the dominance of the US dollar, but also challenging the long-held belief that Bitcoin could one day end the US dollar supremacy. Now, the topic of Bitcoin can end the supremacy of the US dollar is a complete load of BS. Bitcoin is a great asset as an asset. As a payment tool, it's terrible. Bitcoin cannot be used for payments. It gets too congested, it's too slow, and if too many people doing transactions won't process fast enough. So Bitcoin going up against the US dollar has never made any sort of sense. Bitcoin going head-to-head with gold makes sense as a digital gold comparison, but Bitcoin going up against the US dollar makes zero sense. Fiat and Bitcoin do not correlate together properly. What does correlate properly with fiat is stablecoins. That makes more sense. So, but also challenging the long-held belief that Bitcoin could one day end the US dollar supremacy. No. Initially, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin were conceived as rivals to the central bank's issued currency. Citibank's analysts wrote in their latest reports, indeed, some believed and continue to believe that Bitcoin could end the homology of the US dollar. However, stablecoins, which account for more than 4/5 of the cryptocurrency trading volume, challenge this narrative. You know why? Because stablecoins are the replacement of essentially the fiat currencies, not Bitcoin. Bitcoin is like a head-to-head asset for gold. The report highlights the most stable coins are pegged to the US dollar, with issuers holding reserves in US dollars and US Treasury bonds. Citi argues that increased regulations and legitimacy around stablecoins could further solidify the dollar's global dominance. Interesting enough, I said this in 2023. I said everybody talks about the downfall of the US dollar. I was saying this in 2023 and in 2024, the beginning of the year, I was keep on saying this as well. I said everybody talks about the downfall of the US dollar. The US dollar is going to go away and other currencies, or everybody's currency will count in some la-la land BS, Bollywood or Hollywood style, so on. In reality, nothing is going to replace the US dollar. It's just going to go digital. I said to everybody that everybody is saying that US dollar is going to go away. The US dollar is going to go away. But then I said the number one fiat currency in the world is what? The US dollars. And then I said the number one digital stablecoin currency in the world is what? The US dollars. So where's the part where the dollar disappears? Because in fiat, the US is the number one dominant currency, the US dollars, in fiat, in paper money. And if you look at the digital aspects on blockchain, the number one stable coin is not the Chinese yen. The number one stable coin inside the crypto space is not Chinese yen or the Russian ruble, or the Indian rupees or the British pounds or the EU. No, it's the US dollar. And what's backing the US dollar? What is backing the US dollar in terms of stable coins? US Treasury bonds. So how is the US dollar supposed to go away if the US essentially stable coins are pegged and backed by US Treasury bonds? So the logic was never there on the ideology of the US dollar will disappear. It was never there. And the report also talks about this, how it makes 0 sense for the US dollar to disappear when number one stable coin is US dollars. And what's backing the US dollars is US Treasury bonds. So greater regulatory clarity could potentially further increase the appeal of stablecoins, Citi analysts wrote. If so, stablecoin issuers' demand for US Treasury bonds could increase from 1% of purchase today. In other words, we get stablecoin regulations, the US dollar will become strengthened because the number one stablecoin is the US dollars. So we get stablecoin regulations, means stablecoins become strengthened. Number one stablecoin is the US dollars, which means more purchases will be coming through for US treasuries, which means, again, the US dollar is not disappearing. It's still going to remain number one, which is what I said in 2023 and 2024. It's never going to go away. Rather than displacing the dollar, this form of cryptocurrency could make the dollar more accessible to the world and solidify the US currency long-standing global dominance even in the blockchain space. Citi reports also include data showing the growing importance of stablecoins. According to the findings, stablecoin activity is set to reach record levels in the first quarter of 2024, with transaction values of $5.5 trillion surpassing Visa's $3.9 trillion volume during the same period. So anybody still telling you inside the crypto space or any other space, telling you the US dollar is going to go away, the US dollar is going to go away, it isn't. The moment we get stablecoin regulations, the US dollar will become more strengthened, because in order to have a US dollar stablecoin, you need to have assets to back it. And the assets typically backing a US dollar stablecoin are US Treasury bonds, which means it strengthens the US dollar even more when we get stablecoin regulations. So this ideology that's inside the crypto space that the US dollar is going to go away, as I've been saying since 2023 and the beginning of 2024, never going to go away, the US dollar. It's always going to be remaining the number one cryptocurrency, the number one essentially currency in the world. We could be in a traditional market space or we could be in a blockchain space. It's still going to be number one, the US dollars. Now, at that point, genuinely is basic common sense. Now, Bitcoin is what we're going to be talking about next. But Bitcoin in terms of leverage easing. Bitcoin for USDT balance surge. So a report has came out on exchanges in terms of how much leverage is in exchanges, in terms of leverage trading and so on. Now, when there are too many leverage traders on the exchanges, so a lot of people doing 5x long positions or 10x or 50x or 100x, some exchanges let you do 150 or 200x leverages and so on. When there are too many leverage positions open on any exchange, the exchanges don't pay out. And I'm not saying they just ignore your trade. But what I am trying to say is when there are too many trades, it actually shows that there are too many long positions, and all of a sudden a liquidation will happen on all exchanges, where the market will do a 360 and go back down, and everybody gets liquidated because there are too many long positions and the exchanges are not going to be paying out. It's a bit rigged. But here's the thing. CryptoQuant, the data company for the blockchain space, has came out with a report, and they've revealed some new insights on this matter. And what their reports are stating is that the market is going to be a lot more stable moving forward. CryptoQuant's data has revealed in their new report that into the prevailing state of Bitcoin's market space, the data points out that leverage in Bitcoin is easing, and that USDT balances held in exchanges are surging. The data gives a possible impression that essentially liquidation risk could be reduced as USDT collateral rises. CryptoQuant's founder and CEO, Ki-Young Ju, shared valuable insights about the prevailing market conditions in the Bitcoin ecosystem. According to the executives, the Bitcoin market is showing signs of declining Casada liquidation risk, with open interest on essentially BTC USDT futures and now down by 7% from its all-time essentially records on 21st of November. The reduction in open interest on BTC to USDT futures suggests a potential decrease in leverage positions, which could lead to a more stable market environment moving forward, essentially. Jong-in also noted that the USDT balances held in exchanges have risen by 32% in the last month. The executive highlighted that USDT could be used as collateral for futures trading positions on exchanges, and therefore reducing essentially liquidation risk. The broader crypto market views the rising exchange held USDT balances as a potential buffer against selling pressure from the market participants. According to additional data from the blockchain analytics firm, the leverage ratio, which divides global futures open interest by the number of coins held on exchanges, has also been declining since November 25th. The metric has been on a progressive surge since essentially August 12th, peaking at 0.24 cents before dipping to 0.22 cents as December 10th. The recent decline in Bitcoin's estimated leverage ratio shows a prevailing trend developing among investors towards lower leverage in the future market space. Meanwhile, data from the CryptoQuant data company also shows that Bitcoin reserves in all centralized exchanges have declined in all-time essentially lows of 2.4 million BTC. The data also shows that the exchange's reserves have been steadily declining since the beginning of the year. There's less Bitcoins on exchanges. There's another crypto asset that's having the same issue as well, and I'll reveal what it is a little bit later on. But declining reserves indicate higher buying pressure, and investors are confident about the prevailing bullish market sentiments. The data also shows that investors prefer holding their assets in non-custodial wallets, showing more demand for Bitcoin. Bitcoin demand is also evident on the US spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds, which are currently holding essentially $107.76 billion worth of Bitcoin, according to Social Value. Bitcoin has risen essentially 4.72% in the last 24 hours and 4.75% last 7 days. According to CoinMarketCap, the crypto asset is currently retailing around essentially 100,000 plus, with a market cap of $1.988 trillion and a 24-hour trading volume of essentially $95.6 billion. TradingView also shows the asset trading between $104,000 plus and $90,000. However, the bulls appear to be in control of the market so far, and that the asset is more likely to break range and continue its upward trajectory that started in mid-September. This asset may find resistance at the top of the range, causing liquidations that may drive prices towards the bottom. Now, the more sentiment of CryptoQuant is that there are less leveraged positions open on Bitcoin, which is a good sign. There are less leveraged positions open in general inside the crypto space, which is a good sign, because that means that the liquidation process happens randomly inside the market space won't be happening. That only happens when too many leverage positions open, because exchanges will not be paying out the multitude of people putting 50x leverage positions on long positions. There's a reason why everybody gets liquidated when there are too many positions open, because the exchange is not paying out. And then something will happen or something doesn't happen, and suddenly something correlates to something else and everybody gets liquidated. So, based on CryptoCon's CEO's new perspective and their new reports on the market space is moving a lot more stable. In terms of Bitcoin, or there's quite a lot of crypto assets right now. There's a shortage happening on exchanges where people are taking their crypto assets off the exchanges and holding them in non-custodial wallets, which creates a buying pressure situation, demand for it. That is happening on Bitcoin and a few other crypto assets, which I'll reveal a little bit later on tonight's live. But the main point of their whole report is we're going to move on a much more upward trajectory. There's a lot more demand coming inside the market space for buying pressure, and that we're moving into a more stable market space rather than a very extremely volatile space, which makes sense because we're going into rules and regulations very soon. Now, the next news we're going to be talking about, moving on from that, essentially moving on from the crypto quant report that came out today, we're going to be talking about Travala on tonight's live. But before we talk about that, because Travala is the next company to add a crypto reserve to their company, following MicroStrategy's footsteps. But they're not only adding Bitcoin, they're adding another crypto asset to their list as well, which I'll reveal what it is. But before we go through that, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see where we were, and then we go straight into the next news. Let's see where we go into the comment section. We were here. When they use RUSD on the ETH network, will they use XRP or ETH as a gas? Or more the benefits? I already answered that. Evening Miles and CMF, Money, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Can't we talk about? Okay, we were here actually. He has so much money, it's ridiculous. True. So they can't use RLUSD on ETH and have paid the fees of XRP. They can if it's coded in that way, but we would have to see. We need RLUSD to be launched, and we know it's got a green light now. We know that New York has given it the green light, which is amazing. It has a license to operate, which is incredible. So wait for it to be released, and then we have a better picture on the idea of how it's going to be utilized in a sense. But it is going to be positive for XRP in general. It could have indirect or direct value. Either way, it's going to bring value to XRP, indirectly or directly. I don't think they can get rid of the Fed. They might use it as just a backup. Makes sense. The McDonald's employee Nancy Parker snitched on Luigi and was fired for calling the police on the company time, proving once again that CEOs don't care about their employees. Thank you for the info. Hi, Miles, Nina, good to see you. How you doing? How you been? Miles, I'm guessing you're trying to say, I've said you do the best explanation about everything, especially for tokenization. Now you explain about USD and how it's going to be more time. Regards. Kali, no problem, anytime. Yeah, because, thank you for the kind words. Now, Travala. It's only because I like the idea of breaking it down, because I want everybody to understand crypto properly. That's the only way. That's the only reason I read the news and then I break it down so everybody understands it. Because what's the point? Just sharing the news. You have to break it down so everybody gets the bigger picture. Now, Travala. Thank you for the kind words, Kelly. Travala hits $100 million in revenue and launches crypto reserves. Travala made more than $100 million in revenue this year, doubling their essentially $59.6 million they ranked in last year. To celebrate this achievement, Travala, the booking, essentially.com, it's a booking.com type of website. If you want to book your vacations or travels and so on, you would do through a company like Travala or booking.com and so on. And Travala has made over $100 million, and they're celebrating this by entering inside the crypto space. To celebrate this achievement, Travala has created a cryptocurrency treasury reserve akin to savings plans. It will hold Bitcoin and their own AVA token as a part of, their company's essentially future plans. So they're going to be buying Bitcoin and they're going to be holding on to AVAX at the exact same time as well. According to the press release, more and more people are utilizing the platform when reserving flights and hotels, with the option to pay for such services in over 100 different cryptocurrencies. It is true. If you are somebody that travels a lot and you're somebody inside the crypto space, You can actually use Travala and pay in cryptocurrencies for your travels, believe it or not. According to the press release, more people are utilizing this, and these digital assets are not only core to Travala's reserves, but also integral to its operations. With millions of dollars in travel bookings paid in BTC and AVA annually, both assets play a crucial role in the loyalty program, allowing users to receive and redeem rewards in these digital currencies. The Treasury Reserve Plan from Travala outlines several major projects that will help Travala's long-term growth and Web3 adoption. A critical component of the company's treasury will be essentially stored in BTC and AVA to improve liquidity and asset future growth. These assets are essential to AVA's smart programs, which allow users to receive and redeem benefits in both BTC, essentially, and AVA based on their membership tiers. Providing a holistic Web3 powered experience, Travala's addition of BTC and AVA to its reserves underscores its commitment to advancing blockchain innovation and acceptance in the travel sector. Juan, essentially the CEO of the company, said they hope to use these crypto reserves directly in the future without needing to convert them into cash. The smart move is all about keeping the company strong and ready for long-term growth. With our new Treasury Reserve Plan, which includes essentially Bitcoin and AVAX, we're not only fueling future growth, but we're also doubling down on the commitments to essentially shaping the next era of travel. Travala was founded essentially in 2017 and has always adapted a pro-blockchain technology for faster and safer travel bookings. To begin with, they worked with Neo blockchain, but later shifted to Binance chain in 2019 to make things more efficient. And presently, the platform bridges the travelers to over 2.2 million places and 400,000 activities and access to 600 airlines across 230 countries. The company has came a long way in such a short time. Going back in 2020, revenues reached just 4.4 million. Thanks to the crypto boom, it grew to about $41 million in 2021. And through the numbers, it went up and down. They reached a record this year of $100 million. And Travala's AVA token essentially has also had its highs and lows, with the token hitting essentially a new high of $6.45 in 2021. However, the token has since declined, trading essentially at currently 70 cents. And currently, according to CoinMarketCap, Travel.com does essentially have their own token as well, AVA token. If anybody wants to go and check them out, you can. Travel.com, what they're doing essentially is incredible in terms of creating a reserve asset. But what I'm interested about this whole $100 million revenue celebration from Travala.com, what I'm actually more excited about is that companies are not only keep on doing a Bitcoin reserve, but they're moving away. They're doing a Bitcoin reserve and something else. There was another company that did this same idea as well. They followed MicroStrategy's footsteps, and they're doing a Bitcoin reserve and an XRP reserve as a company. And then this one's pretty much the second one. And there's a couple of more as well that are not just doing a Bitcoin reserve, but they're doing a Bitcoin reserve and something else. I like the idea that companies are starting to widen their range and start creating a crypto portfolio rather than just a Bitcoin reserve. And obviously earlier on the show, as I revealed, states in America are talking about a crypto portfolio, which means everybody's moving away from the whole idea of just Bitcoin. Now they're moving into the idea of a crypto portfolio. Incredible. Now, moving away from Travala to BitTrue. BitTrue Exchange had to temporarily halt XDC trading in significant demand because of supply situation. There's a massive demand right now for XDC apparently, and that BitTrue is the first exchange showing signs that they don't have enough XDC to sell. And not a lot of people are selling, but a lot of people are buying XDC, which I completely understand because it's an incredible asset and it's a part of the financial category. Due to a shocking demand, BitTrue, a prominent cryptocurrency exchange, has temporarily stopped trading for XDC token pairings. This decision followed the exchange running out of XDC supply, unable to meet the flood of previously unheard of buy orders. Previously unheard of buy orders are coming in for the XDC. With a 20% increase on the last day, XDC Network is the lead gainer, gathering investor intentions. With essentially 210% gain in the last essentially 30 days, XDC's price has skyrocketed. The daily trading volume of the token also increased significantly, hitting $82.76 million, an increase of 62.30%. XDC has been witnessing a bullish momentum for quite some time now, which is a direct result of the news of the collaboration between XDC Network and UltraX platform to essentially concentrate on the real-world asset tokenizations and developments. The United Kingdom's Financial Conduct Authority, FCA, oversees UltraX, which is a digital securities exchange platform. And the recent price increase also coincides with Bitcoin's price reclaiming the $100,000 marker also, and the November US CPI data coming out. Native to the XDC network, the XDC token has been on the uptrend, essentially path, driven by its unique blockchain features and robust use cases in trade finance and real-world asset tokenization space. Driven by its low fees and quick transfers and institutional collaborations, investors have raced to get the token, hence driving demand to unprecedented levels where exchanges are running out of XDC. In an official statement, BitTrue linked the suspension to a need to stabilize the market and restore liquidity for XDC before anybody else can buy it. This step guarantees the integrity of trading and safeguards users from volatility due to inadequate supplies, and essentially the exchange said. The fact that XDC is a versatile blockchain platform and it adds to the increase in traction, it's fit with Ethereum's virtual machine, EVM, and alliance with big companies like SBI Japan, Deutsche Telekom, and Securities have shown its preferred value for long-term investors. Moreover, its aggressive participation in tokenized and real-world assets such as gold and real estate has made it a cornerstone for portfolio diversifications in the cryptocurrency market space. And although the temporary trading stop draws attention to the token's explosive appeal, it also has piqued further curiosity among new investors ready to seize its possibilities. BitTrue has advised consumers to be patient during this temporary disruption, as trading will start as soon as liquidity is restored on XDC. The XDC network's promise, essentially in the crypto market, is projected to keep rising as it grows its ecosystem alliance. So, XDC running out on BitTrue exchange. It's the first exchange to show signs that they're running out of XDC. Very understandable. Honestly, XDC, incredible project. One, two, it's in the finance category. It was bound to do something. Under rules and regulations, XDC, XRP, XLM, HVOL, they're all inside the same financial category stage. They're going to do amazing. Absolutely incredibly amazing. Especially in 2025, under rules and regulations. Now, moving away from BitTrue Exchange to BitGet Exchange. The BitGet Exchange prepares for the MiCA compliance with proposed Europe regional hub. Now, the MiCA regulations are coming in hot. They're going to be coming in by the end of this year. We're going to have MiCA regulations in the EU, and we're also going to be having, by the first quarter of 2025, they should be essentially completely established, which means essentially that which means that USDT is not going to be listed on any sort of exchanges in the EU anymore by quarter one of 2025, which is one of the questions I was also asked in the Telegram group of this live as well. But if anybody else was wondering, if they're living in the EU, is USDT still going to be around? By quarter one 2025, USDT will be no more in the EU market spaces and any exchanges. Some exchanges have already delisted USDT, but others are holding on to it until the last minute. Binance, for example, is holding on to USDT until the last minute. But Binance did also announce that they've made a collaboration with USDC, which means goodbye USDT. And they made that announcement at the Abu Dhabi Blockchain Finance Week, which was yesterday. So BitGet prepares for MiCA essentially compliance. As a part of its street growth in the EU crypto exchange and Web3 business, BitGet is considering establishing its European regional hub in Lithuania. The resolution sets out to essentially unify the region's crypto asset regulations with the EU's marketing crypto assets MiCA essentially framework. BitGet's chief legal officer explained his goals assaulting by establishing a hub in the European Union. We are demonstrating our strong commitment to uphold the highest standards of security and compliance. BitGet's expansion is essentially in the European space follow a recent UK partnership as well. It also holds licenses in major markets such as Poland and Australia and Italy. The company has stated that they're currently preparing for compliance with the MICA frameworks. Part of the plans to establish an office in Lithuania and recruit compliance and operational personnel. Additionally, the organization stated that it intends to establish a close partnership with European regulators to guarantee that it protects and satisfies all regulatory mandates. As the MICA framework is implemented, BitGet's preparations will enable it to grow quickly as a compliant exchange. Hong, essentially the company executive from BitGet Exchange, made a statement. We truly appreciate the EU's regulatory authorities for their leadership and vision for nurturing a secure and a vibrant environment for the digital, essentially, space and innovation. He added, our vision for the Europe goes beyond business expansions. The continent is at the forefront of crypto revolutions, and we are committed to contributing to its growing ecosystem for crypto startups. BitGet's crypto registration is now secured in Lithuania, which essentially indicates its commitment to operating securely and transparently within the European market space. The European Union's committee policies are quite essentially adventurous for traders when the chances of taking the regulations coming in. They also are suitable for crypto platforms. And according to BitGet, MICA will enhance the legitimacy and stability of the crypto markets by establishing a much more transparent regulation. And this would allow companies to develop new crypto technologies and services with greater confidence, potentially positioning the EU as a global innovation center in the blockchain-centric crypto sector. And the EU's regulations have included measures to safeguard consumers from fraud, schemes, and market manipulations. And these will ultimately promote a greater sense of confidence inside the crypto market space, and thereby encouraging more individuals to invest and participate inside the crypto sector. However, there will be restrictions on certain stable coins in the EU, which could affect the liquidity of the crypto market space. USDT is banned in the EU. Still, one outcome of this essentially trend could be the euro's potential expansion on crypto exchanges or the introduction of new stablecoins on the euro, such as the euro convertible, euro CV by Societe Generale, which has already been introduced on the European exchanges Bitstamp. Ultimately, a significant number of European investors and speculators may opt for authorized platforms that are more in the compliance with regulations, particularly if crypto assets begin to appear on well-known stock exchange trading platforms. And lastly, it is important to note that it has not yet occurred, as Switzerland, which is not a member of the EU, has been the primary European center for crypto industries. BitGet stated that it is currently in the process of obtaining regulatory approvals in over 15 jurisdictions worldwide. And recently, BitGet established a strategy settled to the US under President-elect Donald Trump. BitGet's CEO said, we are also revisiting a US strategy, although we may have not decided anything yet, but we are. And although Trump's crypto regulations are not clear in the US, newcomers still have the anxiety to deal with a mess of the state-based licenses with different government agencies. And he also explained that a solution they could consider is if we had a local partner who many of those licenses are already there, then we could joint venture, for example, so we don't need to go through the applications. We might take this approach, but it's not decided yet. So BitGet, just like any other exchanges, and BitGet is not the only exchange that's doing this. There's a lot of exchanges right now lining up to re-enter one inside the US market space. And as you can see, the reasonings why these exchanges want to re-enter the crypto market space in the US is Donald Trump. It's the only reason. They said the rules and regulations in the US were so messed up, nobody wanted to touch it as an exchange, as a CEO of an exchange. But now, because of Donald Trump, we want to re-enter the market space in America, because America is going to become the biggest hub of the crypto space. Now, on the basis of the MICA regulations in terms of licensing and process and so on, once again, the MICA regulations did announce that certain stablecoins, they're referencing to USDT. USDT is going to be banned in the EU by latest Q1 of 2025. By the end of this year, a lot of exchanges will delist USDT in the EU market space. Just want to put that in perspective, in the EU market space, due to the MICA regulations, because Tether, they don't want to show full transparency. But if you're still, holding on to USDT and so on, Binance, for example, for the EU market space, is now getting the work process with USDC. So you can go for USDC if you wanted to. Or if you wait a few days, you can go for RLUSD, saying that it'll be released in a few days. It has the green light anyways, RLUSD, so who knows? It could be a few days. Or you can wait for essentially and go for RLUSD, which is what I would preferably go for. Honestly, RLUSD gets released It's the only stable coin I'm using from now on, or USD. Now, that's if it's available to the retail section. Now, a CBDC is what we're going to talk about next. But before we talk about the CBDC market space, let's go inside the comment section first. As I said previously, this is a live, which means if you do have any questions, put it down inside the comment section. I'm more than happy to answer any questions you may have. So let's see what's going inside the comment section, and we go straight into the CBDC news. Hi, Miles. Rose, how you doing? I'm going to purchase XDC. Let's go, Nia. Can you recommend any courses I can do related to blockchain? Mom suggested I ask you. Emrose, what I would suggest is courses. Okay, there's a lot of courses out there you can do, but if you want to study the blockchain space in general, completely for free, you can go to CoinMove. So if you go to Google and type in CoinMove, the first website on Google is CoinMove, and it's my blockchain startup company. You can go there and study for free in the crypto learning section. And everything you need to know about crypto, everything you need to know about blockchain, about the DeFi space, about the metaverse space, about the NFT space, about any space, or the tokenization space, or any space inside the blockchain space, it's all there. You can go learn there for free if you want. I get updates from Uphold, and you are absolutely right. They are moving nicely. It fluctuates, but it's still moving nicely. Let's go, Nia. Now, CBDCs. XDC isn't on Binance. XDC is not on Binance. No, that is correct. It's BitTrue exchange that was running out of XDC. XDC was never on Binance. USDC is coming on Binance, is what I said. USDC is coming on Binance. I revealed this news yesterday when Aura USD was approved as well. But USDC is coming on Binance. It's because it's going to replace USDT for the EU market space. USDC, circle. Not XDC. XDC on BitTrue is running out. Binance, USDC, not XDC. Now, a CBDC that could be the foundation of India's future economy. Why am I sharing CBDC news from India? You might be thinking to yourself, you might not be living in India. This has no relevance to you, or so on. Why is this important? Well, because one, India is a G20 country. India was the country that signed the declaration with other G20 countries to have the same set of rules and regulations in the G20 summit in New Delhi last year. Now, one main thing that every government says when the topic of CBDCs arise is that CBDCs will work alongside essentially cash, and that cash is not going away. CBDCs will work alongside cash, and cash is not going away. And I've always said that's a complete load of BS. The idea that they're trying to tell people CBDCs will essentially work alongside cash is complete BS. It's never going to do that. CBDCs is there to replace cash. I've been saying this for the longest time. And I also said to everyone that we don't even have CBDCs yet, and a lot of places around you already don't accept cash. Most restaurants, most bars, most gyms, most cinemas, most anything don't accept cash anymore. Cash points are disappearing, and banks' branches on the streets are disappearing also. And we don't even have CBDCs yet. And they're telling everybody cash and CBDCs alongside each other. We don't even have CBDCs, and cash is already disappearing as it is. The usage of cash. Now, what I've been saying for the longest time, which is it's complete BS, and that CBDCs are actually there to replace cash. Well, here is a news from India regarding CBDCs. Apparently, India is going to be turning their back on cash and going full CBDC. By the way, India, G20 country, one of the same countries that said cash and CBDCs alongside each other. India has been at the forefront of adapting emerging payments, and recent comments from central bank officials suggest that the central bank's CBDC could play a vital role in the country's future economy. The remarks were made during a farewell speech by Das, the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. Das said that the country's CBDC, the digital rupees, has a huge potential in the coming years in the future. In fact, it is the future of currency. I thought cash was working alongside it. Das also highlighted the country's strides and the payment innovations, applauding the Reserve Bank of India for its leadership as a trailblazer among central banks. Notably, India is one of the few countries that has launched a CBDC so far. The economy of India is very accepting of new technologies, namely essentially the digital identity program. There has been over 1 billion people using it, said Joel, cryptocurrency analyst at Javelin Strategy and Research. It really comes down to the consumer's willingness to use it and implementation of it. The people of India are all accepting the idea of social credit systems. Das has previously expressed caution regarding the wide-scale implementation of CBDCs, citing concerns about the technology's ramifications on consumers and the economy. However, the former governor now believes that a deeper understanding of these implementations can be gained through user data-generated pilot programs. Additionally, Das suggests that the introduction of a CBDC could be phased in gradually to mitigate any risks. After the eventual adoption of a CBDC, Das is confident that it could be the underpinning for both domestic and cross-border payment systems in India's future economy. Domestic and international payments. India has already established itself as a frontrunner in instant payments thanks to its widely popular UPI platform, which has become the most dominant payment method in the country. This success has enabled India to export its instant payment systems to other countries, including South America and Africa. There has been a speculation about whether digital rupees and UPI instant payments can coexist. Das made previous comments that there should be no competition between the two, and consumers could make either a UPI or a CBDC payment from the same, essentially, QR codes, so that there should be no barriers of adoption of either payment methods. Whether it is retail or wholesale CBDCs will dictate some of those factors, but India has led the world in some areas of innovation. If they are seeking real adoption of users, essentially for their CBDCs, they will focus on privacy, security, and interoperability between existing systems, and it will be interesting to see if their rollout is successful, and if so, which central bank will be next. I can tell you which central bank will be next. It's definitely going to be Brazil next for their CBDC, because Drex is coming out, which is their CBDC. And then next is going to be Russia, which is their digital ruble, is also going to be coming out in 2025. Next is also going to be Hong Kong with their CBDCs. Next is also going to be the EU coming out with their CBDC in 2025. Next is also going to be, and the list just goes on of next is going to be this. Next is all 2025. But yeah, the ideology of cash and CBDCs working alongside each other, that died out pretty quick. And also India, G20 country, Bank of International Settlements, cross-border payments, ripples on the PDF document already, and India's central bank has even talked about XRP Ledger and XRP regarding their CBDC matters for wholesale and domestic. For wholesale CBDCs and retail CBDCs, domestic payments and international payments. As I said previously, 98% of centralized banks are in CBDCs. 98% of the banks, or essentially 98% of centralized banks are in CBDCs. There is one crypto project doing CBDCs. Since day one, there has been one crypto project that does CBDCs, that has an active CBDC platform and has won multiple CBDC awards. It's called Ripple. It's called XRP. 4 key themes from Ripple's annual swell conference. Now, on the topic of Ripple, digital asset regulation. So these are 4 essentially key things that Ripple has talked about, and they've released this on their website. Things that you could, see coming, and so far what has happened in this year and what's going to be happening next. So here are the 4 key things from Ripple. On their website today was released. Digital asset regulation remains top of the mind. Blockchain innovation is flourishing in markets with clear digital asset regulations. And unfortunately, the lack of essentially guidance in the US has stifled the nation's growth in crypto company. While some progress has been made, including digital assets like XRP receiving regulatory clarity in the US, many swell panelists essentially agreed that the regulatory uncertainty has historically been one of the biggest challenges facing the crypto industry. But as the US elections year comes to a close and the price of Bitcoin soars to an unprecedented high, all eyes will be on the new administration and its impact on the crypto industry at large. Having a regulatory structure that will help separate the good from the bad and the regulated from the cowboys or the worse outs, there is really something that we need, remarked essentially Sheila Blair, former chair of the FDIC and founding chair of the Systematic Risk Council, who took the main stage with Monica Long, Ripple's president. These are things that were discussed at the Ripple Swell event that Ripple decided to write on their website today and talk about it. Blair expressed confidence in crypto's potential, particularly around the real-world asset tokenization use cases, affordable remittances and essentially discriminations, and urged the industry to provide transparency to regulators in order to improve public and private collaborations in digital asset innovations. Once again, Sheila Blair, is the FDIC essentially chairman, former chairman, but now she's also in charge of the founding chair of the Systematic Risk Council. Through events like the Swell event that Ripple is helping set the tone for how crypto businesses can and should approach potential essentially traditional finance spaces, developing a practical roadmap to achieving the bigger picture potential of blockchain is crucial to sustainable adoption. 2. Crypto ETFs and stablecoin growth signal confidence for TradFi, traditional finance. Despite essentially a historically heavy resistance to all things crypto from the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, the US agency approved spot Bitcoin ETFs in 2024. Many Swell panelists acknowledge the significance of this move, as TradFi finally recognizes raising demands for digital assets and exposures from investors. Stablecoins were also a key part of these conversations, and this asset has had its share of the limelight this year as utility potentially proves true and legacy finance turns to stablecoins at an entry point in the digital asset ecosystem. Stablecoin payments is one of the major use cases where these assets shine by enabling fast and secure low-cost global transactions. Just ahead of the conference, Ripple did announce obviously their advisory board of RLUSD, a stablecoin centered around transparency and reserves of regulatory compliance, and Ripple plans to use RLUSD as well as XRP in its cross-border payment solution to enable streamlined global transactions for its institutional and enterprise customers. Use RLUSD and XRP for its institutional clients and enterprise customers. It says all this on the website today. The value that crypto can bring to the finance sector is becoming impossible to ignore. As panelist essentially Hunter Hosley, CEO of Bitwise Asset Management, commented, crypto is arriving and is unstoppable train, and I'm excited about that. 3. Real-world use case regains supreme. While consumer-focused crypto applications like NFT collectibles have historically driven adoption surges, early use cases should be viewed as essentially a sign of the times, a stage in technology's evolution. Swell highlighted the ongoing shift from retail to institutional interest in crypto. The next clientele entering the crypto space are institutions. Hence why on Ripple's website right now it says, as trends essentially the ongoing shift from retail to institutional interest in crypto is happening. As trends fade into the background and real-world use cases move towards the mainstream, utility is what's going to be happening next on the regulations in 2025. Societe Generale Forge, they're giving you hints of what's going to be happening. Societe Generale Forge, for example, has used blockchain technology to give clients the option to settle securities on-chain via their stablecoin. By leveraging a bank-grade digital asset custody solution to manage their stablecoins from the issuance to completion of settlement, SG Forge can offer their clients streamlined services while maintaining the level of trust and security expected from financial institutions. There are so many different use cases, like the internet doesn't have one internet company. There's dozens of really important big companies, and so there will be quite a few very important blockchains, because everything will be eventually connecting to the XRP ledger anyways. There's going to be a few important blockchains, is what essentially Ripple said. Few important blockchains. Remarked Dan Moorhead, essentially CEO of Pantoro Capital as well, during his conversations with Ripple's CEO Brad. Tokenization of real-world assets and cross-border payments were two widely discussed use cases, both pillars of Ripple's 2024 product roadmap. You know what's interesting? Pantoro Capital's CEO essentially talking about there's going to be a few important blockchains, and he essentially said these things at the Ripple Swell event with Brad. There's going to be a few important blockchains at the Ripple event, he said this, Pantoro Capital. Today, Pantoro Capital said that we're going into regulations, and if you're positioned correctly, then you're going to be benefiting the most. You can take a guess what those few blockchains are that Pantoro Capital is talking about, because they talked about at the blockchain event, Ripple's event, and then Pantoro's Capital today, CEO, said the exact same things, but he said position correctly. Aaron, the Ripple's SVP product, shared more details on the roadmap of the Swell attendees, including an overreaching effort to bridge essentially traditional finance and DeFi ecosystems, and the slaughter is recognized by the symbiotic relationships between these two spaces and the need for a trusted and reliable provider like Ripple to offer a one-stop shop for digital asset infrastructures. One-stop shop for asset infrastructures, Ripple. Ripple's suite of products has evolved alongside the changing crypto industries, particularly as the benefits of blockchain expand to traditional financial services. With a robust global, essentially, market payment system network, traditional digital assets custody software, and RLUSD, Ripple is well positioned to play a pivotal role in the future of finance. 4. Crypto's angle. Legacy institutions' growing confidence in crypto has generated excitement and prominence of the technology, but decentralization as the foundational principle of blockchain is somewhat at odds with centralized initiatives like crypto ETFs. This irony essentially was lost on Swell's panelist Major, CEO of O Group, who instead pivoted to drive home the critical role that DeFi can play in expanding access to basic financial services. She said there are people out there who would love to have this financial instrument to provide that to folks who is really important. Numerous panelists touched on the value that crypto can bring to the financial efforts. The widespread availability of smartphones and internet access can open the doors for crypto-enabled mobile payments and crypto donations, making delivery of financial assistance more efficient. David Milbrand, President and CEO of International Rescue Committee IRC, underscored the value that crypto can bring to humanitarian efforts during a conversation with Eric Van, SVP Strategies at Ripple. Also commented the availability to have impact and address some of the challenges that prevent people from being a part of a global economy was at the core of what motivated Chris Larson, Ripple's co-founder and executive chairman, to tackle these problems. While progress with any new technology is subject to a long road with unexpected twists and turns, it's important for industry leaders to maintain focus. For Ripple, that means building the internet of value and unlocking essentially a greater economic opportunity for everyone and everywhere. So those are the 4 points from Ripple's own website today that was released. Look, they're giving you hints of what's to come. Pantora's Capital talking at the Ripple Swell event that there's going to be a few important blockchains going forward into rules and regulations. They said this at the Ripple Swell event. You fast forward to today, Pantoro Capital's CEO is on the news saying that if we're going into rules and regulations, which is what's happening in America, then you want to be positioned correctly. They're giving you hints of who those chosen blockchains are inside that sectors. The financial sector, the number one crypto project inside the financial sector is not going to be Bitcoin in the essentially financial sector. Bitcoin is a great reserve asset as a risk-off asset to be alongside essentially gold, but that's not it. Bitcoin is not the number one financial reserve in any sort of a way, a financial asset inside the financial category. It's not Ethereum because Ethereum is congested and extremely expensive to send payments, which makes zero sense. It's not going to be Solana because you want the payment to go through, and Solana payments don't go through. And I'm telling you that from experience when it comes to Solana. And what I'm trying to say is the financial category is what's mostly the money is going to be pouring into from all these institutions and businesses and so on, from all these banks under rules and regulations. It's going to be number one, XRP, number two, X11, XDC, and HBAR, and so on. As I've said previously. And then adding on top of that, 98% of centralized banks are in CBDCs. 98% of centralized banks are in CBDCs. So keeping aside, essentially, because a lot of people will tell you, oh, there's not enough money for Ripple to do well. There's not enough money for XRP. There's too many tokens for XRP. You have, one, banks and institutions in the financial category. for domestic payments and international payments. 2, you have wholesale CBDCs and retail CBDCs market space. 3, you have essentially derivatives market space. 4, you have the bonds market space. 5, you have the real estate market space. And the list just goes on of market space, market space, market space, market space. So next time someone tells you that too many tokens doesn't add up in any sort of a way, it adds up. They just can't see it. It's either they don't want to see it, or they're too blindsided by false information. So, all good things must come to an end, which they pretty much have now. This was the endings of tonight's live, the CMF Live. It stands for Crypto Mouse Family if you're watching it for the first time ever. My name is Miles. I go by the persona of Crypto Mouse. And on this live, you can tune in every single night, where I talk about the most recent news that's happening around the world in terms of cryptocurrency, CBDCs, AI, politics, regulations, vital information for you to know about regarding how the world is transforming into a digital space. So if it was your first time watching this, subscribe, follow, retweet, and tune in every single night. But let's go through the comment section first before we come to a complete end. There's some questions that need to be answered, and there's a payment of £20. Sam, thank you so much for the £20 donation. It's going straight to starting up the CMF hedge fund. Absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for the £20 donation, brother. Thank you. And I like that travel token. Yep. Hi, Miles. Ross, let's go. Okay, I was here. Share the live. Let's go, Scott. Miles, have you ever heard of a company stake? They are you invest in property in Dubai. Pierce, I've heard of a company called Stake, but in terms of a casino stake, but I've never heard of a company property stake in Dubai. I'll take a look at it for you, no problem. Miles, I see nobody asking why market is up today, just a couple of days and the sentiment changed. Great job, Miles. Let's go, Scott. As always, let's go, Scott. Regarding why the market is up, well, we know why XRP is up because it got approval for RLUSD. That's why XRP is up. And why the rest of the market is up? Well, because the liquidation process is done from the exchanges. Thank you, Millie. No problem. Anytime. Thanks, Legend. Much appreciated. Night and day to all CMF. Let's go, Shelly. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Good night, Miles and CMF. Great live. See you tomorrow. Free and Feather. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Another great program. Thanks for what you do daily for our group/family. You are appreciated. Let's go, Scott. Scott, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Fabulous live, as usual, Miles. Appreciate it. Everything you do for us. Let's go, Joe. Joe, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Thanks, Shakira. Let's go. Hey, brother, and you are free. Let's go, Scott. Thanks, as always, Miles. Let's go, Pierce. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Carol, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. We have reached the endings of tonight's live. Thank you so much to everyone that's liked this live on YouTube. If you watch us on YouTube, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe on YouTube. If you watch us live on X, if you follow me, thanks so much for following me. If you liked, retweeted, commented outside the live, thank you so much to everyone that's been retweeting, liking, commenting, subscribing. Honestly, absolutely amazing. Thanks, Miles. Good night, CMF. See you tomorrow. Orphan, see you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Thank you a bunch and have a good night. All Lena, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Brad, let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Thanks for another amazing live, brother. See Camel tomorrow, same time as usual. Great live, Miles, as usual. Good night, Miles and CMF. Jason, see you tomorrow, same time as usual, brother. So this was the CMF Live, stands for Crypto Mouse Family. My name is Miles. This live show is Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time. Same night as always, same time as always, every single night between Monday to Friday, 11:25 p.m. UK time onwards. If you watch this for the first time ever, enjoyed it, drop a follow, drop a like, subscribe, share, comment, and get involved inside the comment section as well. And we also have a Telegram group, which anybody is more than welcome to join. It's completely free. It's going to stay free forever. It's called Crypto Mouse Family. One word. The link is on YouTube. If you watch us on YouTube, the link is on X. If you can't find it, direct message me. And also join the CMF on X communities page. We have a Crypto Mouse Family Lounge as well. You can join. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. Go Spinner. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual as well. Is it Dex Tracker spelling? Yes, Susie. Is that what you want? I'll send you the link. No problem, Susie. After live. Thanks, Miles. Good night, CMF. Let's go, Stormy. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Thanks, Miles. Good night, everyone. Go Spinner. See you tomorrow. Good night, all Chief. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. We are a family. CMF. Let's go, Scott. Nice one, Miles. Zach. Let's go. See you tomorrow, sometimes usual. Thanks, Miles. Lincoln, thank you so much for the kind words. I will be seeing everybody tomorrow, same timing as usual. Everybody have a great day or a good night, depending on where you are around the world. See everybody tomorrow, same time as usual.